Hi, I'm Cosmo Easterly and welcome to Planet Cosmo Salon. We're going to be working on Janet today. We want to show you some specifics about her natural curly hair because we don't want you to be able to pick the hair up here and cut it even, because if it does, and if it is cut even like that, it winds up creating humps and clumps where the shape of the head rounds. We call this the frontal crest, the rear crest, the flats, and the nape. And you see where the line is? This is your separation or the focal point of the haircut. We then are going to pull all the hair forward, and I start in this area. Here, it's cut in, and it's cut into points. And we're cutting in with the grain of the hair, not a hard line. I'm at the angle so that when I cut, you see that I'm still creating a guideline, but it's not a solid blunt line. Point cutting, and just making sure you come up, continue that. I then have my little tag where I go to the opposite side and then work that down as well. So you see how that line actually comes in. Just a little bit. Take your time, chisel, be a sculptor, not a hair cutter. Sculpt the curl, sculpt the shape of the haircut. Don't make it hard and blunt. It needs to be softer, more flexible, more pliable. Just touching it up, looking at it, playing with it. What I like to do is monkey a lot because it allows the hair to kind of fall so I can see what it's going to do. And then I can kind of push it in the front and make sure that I'm getting, ooh, look at the wave. She hates that, by the way, because it is hers. So you want to make sure that you have a nice, good graduated line. It hits her at her balance point at 0, and 0 is where the ear connects to the head. Her balance points are at 0, they're at 2, they're at 4, and they're at 6. Once you go past the shoulder line, again, dominant line takes over. So, we then are going to create her front balance points by coming in and following that guideline that we started. Now the guideline we started is kind of cool because you get the tangle out of the end. It's kind of cool because what we have here is a little piece of the tag. I'm then going to come and continue cutting until I get to 0, where her balance point is. I then come in here. I then switch and come to an elongated line so that it still is long, and this can be pulled back. It still blends when it comes down because it's cut and then lightly chewed out. It creates a nice frame. If she tucks it, she still has her balance point pieces hanging in. Very crucial to make sure that that actually works. Same thing, so what I'm doing is I'm going to the natural fall line, and that's at the ear, where we're separating. It's at the ear. So, this is all pulled forward again. I have my same guideline. You can see what we're doing is just reshaping this a bit. It needs to come back up. Let me get you to tilt. Same line comes in. I'm going to follow that line until I get to 0. There we are at 0. And then I change my line and chew out gradually. You see it's a small amount of hair. So what I'm doing is creating a very solid line in the bang area and then blending this. So it still blends, but it has the flexibility to be styled more than one way or just have a curl line in it. So it just adds a little bit more flexibility to her look. Okay, I have the front done, the front section. We'll tie the back in. This is where the part line, and you can see in the hair when I'm combing this back, that the hair naturally parts. I'm not going to fight that because that's what the hair does. What I do is I run my fingers about a ½ inch on either side. I pull this hair up. I have my guideline, which you can see, short to long, and I'm going to chew out of that. We never slide cut curly hair because it makes it frizzy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chew. Chew, 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 chew. So we roll this up and we come up and out of it, leaving this front piece long. So she now has short to long hair, but it's still really long, so when it curls it doesn't create this mohawk or poof on the top like she's got some kind of a plume from, you know, being in a band, you know, high school band with the plume on top, something like that. I'm then going to come in and I'm going to take the angle that I just created, short to long this way, and I'm going to do the same thing and chew out of it same way. So I'm short to long. I then take diagonal sections out of the focal point, short to long. And I go to my guideline, and then I come short to long. This allows the hair to actually drape over the crest and over the parietal bone so that it doesn't create a clump. If I cut it all square up here, it winds up being a clump like this. And you've seen lots of haircuts like that. We do not want that. I continue with my guideline, same thing, short to long. And it's just chewing out of it to create that line. I then switch to the opposite side, short to long. Notice that I'm further back because if I'm forward, on this side has less hair. This has more hair because of where the hair parts. I'm further back because there's less hair here because I'm not bringing it from this over. So I have to make sure that this line sits back. So I'm going from short to long. Then once I get past that, then I can come in and do the same thing. Short to long, and you see it here. Short to long. And I just keep working my way out of it in the same diagonals. Go forward a little bit so you can see that part line. And I like to cross the part line up. I'm random. I'm not really, let me rephrase that. I know the pattern in which that I'm going so that I'm random when I move these back and forth. So it allows a little flexibility in the curl so that it's not, because natural curly hair doesn't fall even, but you can see the shape how it lays, that it falls and conforms. It's not having like clumps and clumps and clumps. That's happened by two things. One, I'm not picking it up and cutting it blunt. I'm actually chewing and traveling as I come across the rounds. And I'm using the frontal crest and the rear crest to actually create a nice shape. Okay, what we're doing is we're going to move to the back now because I've done the two side flats and we're to the round. But all of my lines come at a diagonal, which gives me my guidelines for the back. Again, when I'm picking the crown up, I'm not, you can see the line here, I'm not picking it up here and cutting it, I'm leaving it at the round using my guideline, which is where I cut, to the frontal crest here. I'm combing this back. I use this line to actually chew to create my curls that come all the way down. Now what I'm trying to do is make sure, see the guideline? I will use this to make sure that this goes all the way to the base. The peak of the occipital bone is here. This hair is not going to be cut or layered because I want that to be thicker. So I go all the way to the bottom where that hits at the bottom and blends. We come back in after we're done and take a little bit of the bottom off because I don't want that little tail hanging out. And that tail hangs out because people pull it all up and cut it even up here. That tail hangs out because the peak of the occipital bone, which is this area right here, is the same distance normally of the hairline, which is that distance and hangs out of the bottom. Same thing here, slightly forward. Keep an eye on your client. Make sure they keep their head where they're supposed to. And you see that when you do this, that you run out of hair here.
I love it.